about weight and weight loss. And then when they see it happening, especially if they struggle with it, when they see it happening in somebody else and it's not happening for them, people have a tendency to lash out a little bit. And it's understandable because at the end of the day, I truly feel that there's a certain type of hurt associated with holding weight. There's a certain type of pain that's going on the inside.
Secrets are going
on. Secrets, yes. Fat holds secrets, and incidentally, a lot of people have been heavy for their whole lives. There's a lot that is hiding on your body physically, energy-wise. I truly believe that. And when you start to release that, the frequency, your energy completely changes, and then all of a sudden these people are not compatible with you anymore. And
okay, I want to stop you there. Because that is such an important point, and I think that can be replicated in other areas of life, but with your fat particularly, that when we were having this conversation, and I have thought about fat up ways and down ways, as you know, and we've done some of the diets together over the years. What I realized is that when you said that to me, I thought, wow, what secrets are there? And being a person who deals in energy and frequencies for my actual job and income, I really understand that concept. And I didn't understand why I had never related it to myself in that way. So that was a revelatory statement that you made. And that's why I want to stop and listeners really hear that about your fat holding secrets. And when you're losing it, you're releasing secrets, but also there's a frequency and an energy that goes involved with being at the size you are. And this is going for myself. So this isn't Monette coming to you skinny saying, I figured it out, I'm at a different frequency. This is me saying I'm evolving with you and figuring something out. And Alan brought something to me that caused epiphany to happen within me. And it started me to think about my weight differently for the first time in all of my life. So thank you for that, Alan. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Now, I noticed when I was talking to you, and this was sort of your mindset at the time, and I was having a lot of issues at the time. This is when I was in the middle of my weight loss, and I was talking on the phone with you, and your idea, because I was telling you at the time, or I was trying to relate to you, it's not losing the weight is not the work. Losing the weight is it's easy. It's the byproduct of a surgery that you had, that you let doctors cut into you. That's not the actual work. I was struggling at the time with the work because for 33 years, my crutch was food. And all of a sudden, it was no longer there. Right. All of a sudden, I was just pushed. It was life-changing for me. It shook me to my very core. And I could no longer use it as a fallback, because the second I ate a chicken nugget, I was full. I couldn't eat anymore, and it was painful to eat anymore. So I remember going through periods of time where I would want to just finish my meal and enjoy my meal. I had to learn to let go of that desire. I had to learn to let go of the grasp that food had on me,
and also the comfort.
Depressed me.
Yeah, the comfort too, because what I'm hearing you say is that, like, you wanted to finish more than the chicken nugget, and that was a total emotional response. You were literally full. You couldn't hold another thing, but it was the comfort. And guys, pay attention to that. Listeners, there is such a comfort that is so seductive that I don't know if we all are aware of it. We might think we know, and we've heard it. We've heard Oprah talk about it and various other people as they're climbing towards their health. But there is a true comfort and emotional dependency that you can have on food. This is not just like, sometimes I wanted to make this point because sometimes I've heard people just being like, fat people are lazy and they don't understand and whatever. But I look at Americans, skinny, fat, tall, skinny, everybody loves food and they love it for comfort. They don't just love it because it tastes good. So I think that's a great point too that you've made there about wanting to finish the thing only because your mind and your heart and soul wanted it, not so much because your body needed it anymore.
Not at all. My body didn't need it whatsoever, but my mind was trying to overpower my body and say, this is what you're used to. It was perpetuating old patterns. And this is kind of where the rubber meets the road when it comes to my intention for wanting to discuss this with you, is that if you choose to do a surgery like this, you need to sit down beforehand and take kind of a soul inventory. Take an inventory of your life. Figure out the reasons why you're doing this in the first place. If you're doing it for vanity reasons, that's great. In the screening process, though, they will figure that out, and you could potentially harm you from getting the surgery. If the doctor thinks, because you have to see a psychiatrist, so if the doctor thinks that you're doing this for vanity reasons, you're out.
Okay.
You're done before you even begin. So
they can sniff that out. They can sniff out, like, I want to look great and be hot.
They gave me a full psychological profile. Hours I was in there taking that test, doing a psychological profile. Now, as I said, everybody's process is a little bit different. So when I initially went in, I had to go and get my lungs checked to make sure that they were okay for surgery. I had to go and get approved by my primary care physician. I had to go to get a psychological examination done, and that is the one that took a lot longer. I had to see a nutritionist multiple times. I had to see a nutritionist so that they could start to reprogram my brain to making better choices, to making healthier choices. And I think that because of that, it started kind of like a chain reaction in my mind. And that's when I started to think about this weight loss as more of an energy thing and tackling my own personal demons when it came to like the addiction itself.
Because that was my next question. I'm sorry. Yeah. That was my next question was, how did you wrangle the addiction? Because, I mean, that's the thing. That's the monkey that's really on your back when you're dealing with this. How did you wrangle that?
This might dishearten you a little bit, but you don't. You never get rid of it. It's always there. It's always there. Like, but you have to change the paradigm of how you think about it. You have to shift your mindset about your addiction. And it causes you to work with it rather than be burdened by it, to be honest with you. So for me, that came in the form of discovering what my food identity was and discovering I had a totally new food identity I had to come up with. So that's when I started doing the actual work. The physical work, the monetary, the money that you put into it, because it's a very expensive surgery as well. All of that stuff to me was easy. That was just something that I had to do. And to me, it was almost like a series of obstacles, like challenges, and I enjoyed the process. I remember thinking to myself as I was going through this isn't going to last for very long. You're not going to be able to eat food in the capacity that you are right now, so enjoy the space that you're in. I remember thinking that at the time because everything was going to change. So all of that stuff for me was fairly simple. Oh. The hard part was sitting down and saying, okay, I can't, because for the first month, you can't really eat anything. You're on a liquid diet for the most part, and then you slowly start to incorporate foods back into your life. It took me 5 or 6 weeks to even think about eating any meat at all. And when it was very soft fish at the time. It was very soft fish. And so I had to discover a brand new food identity.
And what is your food identity now?
Well, now, because I put in the research at the time, now I tend to gravitate towards plant-based.
Okay.
Veganism, vegetarianism. Now, I'm not advocating that for anybody, but what I'm advocating for is for you to look at your own body and your own nutritional needs and come up. It's everything. Everybody's different, so come up with a custom system for you, and it could be fun. Let it be fun.
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell, kind of how that ball started. So I had to build an entirely new food identity. So I'm losing weight, and all of a sudden it just stops.
What was that about?
It does. It stops. A lot of times people have hit these little plateaus, and they're normal and they're natural. Your body starts to adjust metabolically to eating less food.
Okay.
Now, okay.
That makes sense.
Just kind of like an FYI about this surgery. The surgery really only lasts for about, I would say, anywhere between 12 months to about 15 months, and that's it. By that point, your metabolism has adjusted to the fact that you're only eating 1,500 calories a day, and your body, you stop losing weight. So after that, you have to have, when I say hit the reset button earlier, this is what I meant by that. You have to have put your mind in a place where you're able to hit the reset button. And so that when the time comes and you stop losing weight, that's when you're able to pick up and you're able to continue the journey that you're on. A lot of times people stop at this point, and because they haven't done the work, they start to gain all of the weight back. I've seen it happen time and time again, where the weight just starts slowly creeping back up. And it's happened to me, where you'll notice, but now I have a threshold. When you're 365 pounds, you don't really have a threshold, because 20, 30 pounds, still you still look the same. But 10, 20 pounds after, when you're 220 pounds and you're 6'2" or 3, 10 or 20 pounds that you gain is the difference between being able to button up your pants.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the new normal. And that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Get back to me. Now you know what you have a me to get back to. Now you know. So that's what this surgery has provided you, as a tool to have a barometer of where you need to be. I think that's what it sounds like.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. So I credit it for that. I'm at a point now, 3 years later, where when I look back on it, I'm happy. I'm very happy that I did what I did. It was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Certainly one of the most healthiest decisions I ever made in my life, considering how obese I was. Because where I said earlier, I had always been very lucky when it came to health. I had never really had any major health problems my whole life. But I can't say that when I'm 40. I know I'm 36 now. I'll be 37 in April. But by the time I was 40, if I had stayed on that trajectory, I would probably have diabetes. I would probably have high blood pressure. I would be slated for a heart attack by 50, no doubt, the way I was eating, because my food addiction was insidious. That's really the only word. It was insidious. Drive-thrus they were my thing, and I needed to get out of that negative, that mindset. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love a drive-thru, but it's more balanced now. It's a little bit more balanced now.
I understand. I really do understand that. Seems like using this tool and utilizing it. And so for people listening, you can achieve balance through this. I think a lot of people have a very hard-nosed approach to weight loss, which is like, if I don't do it myself, and I certainly have been one of those people, then it doesn't count, and it's null and void. And watching Alan go through this experience has really taught me that we are provided with tools, and you utilize them as you should. Now, that may not be the tool for everybody. Like he said, this is up to you to discover, investigate, and trust your angels, which is one of the things he did in his journey. Was he realized that he had better angels coming to him in the form of coworkers saying, we have a tool for you. And he listened. And so that's why it's so important, guys, for you to stay grounded and spiritually open to your opportunities, because they're always around the next corner, and your angels are always communicating with you. I don't think I'll ever be able to say it enough on this show. And so Alan listened to his angels, and they gave him a tool that helped change his life and the course, as he's mentioned, of other people's lives around him. And we're almost getting close to our time, but I just wanted to ask you, Alan, is there anything else that we should know about succeeding in weight loss? And I know that you don't like to say you know it all, because you're still figuring it out, but is there any advice that you can give in closing that you've learned in this? Yeah, actually, I think that when you regardless of how you choose to lose weight, it's different for everybody. If you choose the bariatric route, if you choose to lose it on your own, and even if you're not losing weight, any sort of body work whatsoever, because body work is just energy work. That's all it is. You're just manipulating the energy that goes in and out of your body. Right. I agree 100%.
It requires a certain degree of self-awareness. And if you're not willing to plan for it, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then you're you really just you're really planning to fail. You will fail. So